So 2022 was a decent year for RPGs, and a lot of RPGs dropped like Torchlight Infinite, the hyper stylized combat, colorful game that takes place 2,000 years ago after Torchlight 2. Then we have the team over at Superfuse who dropped the demo and they eventually came out with the full release earlier this year. It's more of aliens in space, would you think? But then I'll never forget that last minute April Fool's joke of Diablo Immortal, the super monetized fun Diablo 3.5. We all needed, right? We needed that. I know you guys needed that. Not so much. So then, I'm on this journey of just trying to find a new ARPG to come around, and I was like, man, what about Undecember? Now, of course, I've heard a lot of things regarding Undecember, and was it actually great? Was it bad? Is it super pay to win? What actually is wrong with Undecember? So I said, you know what? Let's try it out. And since Diablo 4 has been running rampant in the ARPG scene, and I want to see how well does Undecember last being in the presence of a heavy hitter like Diablo 4, Last Epoch, Torchlight Infinite to the whole nine, right? Torchlight Infinite, everything that you could think of that is an ARPG that are heavy hitters, and especially since Diablo 4 is out, I want to see how well does Undecember hold up, how well has it lasted over the years. So today's video is to see if Undecember, the I have Diablo 4 at home free-to-play title, is worth your time and investment, and my first impressions as we cover some of the gameplay features and mechanics that Undecember has to offer and my journey playing through this ARPG. Undecember was released October 11th, 2022, and as of this recording, I am level 25 and literally I'm like at the cusp of heading into Act 3. So this entire everything I'm going to say is just my experience from booting the game up to getting to almost Act 3. And what you guys should expect come time playing it, right? So let's talk about the story. The game's premise centers around a quest for fame and fortune. So to be honest, I skipped most of the cutscenes because it didn't grab my attention. Normally, a lot of games, I love storytelling. This storytelling is one of my favorite things to do, and I feel like it really dropped the ball. It has a very weak narrative. And it's kind of very stereotypical in the medieval, you talk to the big high-ranking guard and he has like a sleazy advisor, the usual. It's a staple in this case. So when it comes to the overall story, for me, I skipped most of the cutscenes. Like I let them play out just for visually a pleasing effect because it is a very high graphical game. But overall, just like really what's going on, no one cares. No one cares, right? If story is something you want, you can definitely try ahead, but my recommendation, I would just skip it and just go back to killing things. Speaking of graphics and visuals, I actually want to cover that. So, starting off with the character creation. Now, the character creation is pretty expansive with multiple different ways of creating your own character, and you also can do seasoned characters. Now, I remember when the game first came out, there was no seasons yet, so I feel like it's just been added. So right now, I have been playing through the season with my entire run is now with my seasoned character, and God, I love how the character creation feels. So just to keep you guys in warm, the text behind it, this game is in Unreal Engine 4, so it's not an Unreal Engine 5. The graphics look great, and it gives me almost like a Black Desert Online vibe in a sense. Like, I actually liked how, realistic, realistic is probably not even the correct word, like more polished. Like Torchlight Infinite is more cartoonish, that art style is more cartoonish, and then you have something like Diablo 4, which is more dark, grim, and gritty. But I feel like Undecember kind of hits like more closer to that Diablo 4. Of course, granted, Diablo at the time period of the game coming out, Diablo 4 didn't exist. So that's why I was like, it's that I have Diablo 4 at home. You know what I mean. But let's go into the most important, right? So all of the monsters and the background visuals overall is highly polished. Like I really did enjoy venturing through all the different locations, whether you're outside or inside. You can definitely tell the developers took a lot of time in making sure the graphics looked good. Various different designs. All of the enemies have like this ultra detailed look to them, like especially some of the creatures and monsters that you will come across. God, I love it. The cutscenes though, that's one thing that I'll say, like if you come across like an actual full-blown cutscene, I definitely recommend watching it just to get that visual. Like I said, I feel like the story is still like not the greatest, so definitely try it out. It offers very impressive visual quality for a free-to-play game. Keep in mind, this is a FTP, so you can't really, like, my expectations a little high, but I also didn't spend $70 on the game, just like other games like Redfall, Diablo 4, you know, Final Fantasy 16, you know what I mean? Like, so for something that's free to play, I also can't argue it, right? So let's move on over to the actual overall gameplay mechanics, the meat and potatoes, the chunk, the thing that will be keeping you entertained throughout your entire adventure. So first off, going along with the character creation that we talked about in the last section, let's talk about the actual classes. Now, this game does not have your usual pick a class type of format. It is more along the lines of a classless system. Kind of, if you guys have ever played Albion Online, then that's exactly what that is. It's more of a classless based system. Even though it is a classless system, the game still has a class, if that part makes sense. Players could still step into like either the more ranger based build or more of a sorcerer build or even a barbaric type of build, and it kind of always fits into those three. So you know, you can't really, you get the gist of like how the game is kind of pushing you towards a particular thing. And it does have the major influence on the three builds by selecting specific Zodiac traits that attunes to your build, which the Zodiacs we will talk about a little later, so hold off on that one. Moving on, we have skill runes. Now, skill runes are basically your abilities. This is how you're able to do anything, and it has more of this hexagonal way. Now, Superfuse, when I got a chance to play that last year in the beta, and then actually play the full-blown release earlier this year back in January, if you want to check that out, I got that on the channel if you guys want to check that out. But they also do the thing where they connect fuses, which basically have this grid like system, which allows you, like, if you have your main ability, you can attach another little gem that actually increases and change the different effects, and you kind of do that part right there. I actually really like it because I was already used to that system thanks to Superfuse. I haven't played any other game that had a type of skill based system in that sense, so Superfuse I got on to it pretty quickly. And with Undecember, it was just like that. I was very easy to use. I loved every second of it. Now, a little bit of quality of life features, right? So the game, you can turn it off, but it is still present. I use it. I love it, which is the auto heal and the auto mana potion. Thanks to playing gacha games for quite some time, auto kind of has taken over that space in the mobile gaming aspect. So when I'm almost dead and I automatically heal, great, it helps out a lot. So I always stock up. Now the difficulty of the game is kind of like, but we'll get to that later, and you'll see what I mean when it comes to the auto healing. But another cool thing is pets. So you get a free pet that they automatically give you. He's just a cute chubby little dude, and he allows you to do auto pickup, which you don't have to keep constantly clicking every loot piece that drops when a fountain of gear drops from an enemy that you just slaughtered. And trust me, enemies has an excessive loot pool, so we'll have to eliminate to make room for better equipment and runes, because Jesus Christ, there's like a fountain of them that comes out. Now, I like that auto pickup. Like Torchlight Infinite, when that first dropped, you needed a pet, but you had to pay for the pet. And then that particular pet only had auto pickup, so no regular pet. So what I can say I like about Undecember is, like, the first free pet that you get, it actually allows you to get automatic pickup right from the jump, and I don't even have to actually spend any money. That's pretty cool, because spending money, we got to talk about the cash shop and the monetization. But hold on just a second. Then I also like that equipping armor and actually change your actual physical appearance. Throughout my time playing Torchlight Infinite and even Superfuse, I started to notice that a lot of the ARPGs, your character kind of sticks with its whatever base design, and the armor and weapons you obtain does not change what you actually look like. And that's one thing I do like about Undecember. But the loot overall, it kind of feels a little wonky. I feel like the higher level gear has less amount of like actual attributes to them, and I feel like yes, it's okay that I can use the runes to actually change the attributes out of your gear, but I feel like the amount of legendary gear that I'm getting, or even more higher end gear, does not actually change any, and I get less for what I'm already getting. Like, I have a level 11 legendary thing, like helmet, and it doesn't even allow me to, and I get like a level 20, and it has one attribute, and then I have to keep using things to actually change that. So I was just like, you know what? I don't know. I was to keep grinding until I find something better, because I don't like really, I like to craft later when it's needed. Like, I feel like I need to craft now. And I was like, I shouldn't have to right now, because I know the gear that I'll obtain will probably always be better than that the more you level up, as I am currently level 25, almost in Act 3. But real quick, if you guys are enjoying today's video and you're getting some form of value from it, then hit the like button, definitely subscribe. It helps your boy out. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers, trying so hard to get there. And as well as, if you want, I love talking to you guys. Let me know in the comment section below what's your favorite ARPG, and if you have already played Undecember, I want to know what you guys thought about it as well. It's pretty cool. I'm liking it so far. And if you want to chat more about other RPGs, Discord right there. Jump down there. Let's talk about it. But let's get back to the video. So let's talk about what I personally do not like about Undecember, and this may or may not sway you from playing the game or bring you back just in case if you stopped playing. Hopefully some of the cooler stuff that I talked about earlier helps you out, just in case if you haven't touched the game in a minute, you want to come back. It feels refreshing, like new, but there's a lot that I got to talk about, right? So the monetization, we're going to start with that. So although you are not forced to buy Undecember to pay any money while playing, you can get by simply grinding. I haven't hit any paywalls yet, so most of this stuff I have did a little bit of research, just seeing like how people felt about the paywall. But I would tell you my point of view and their point of view. A lot of people saying you don't need to grind. I mean, you don't need to pay anything. You could get everything literally just by grinding. But the sad fact is that this game can be borderline pay to win. Borderline. It's like right there at the cusp. So let's backtrack a little bit. So back in 2022, when the game first came out, there's a couple of things that made this game pay to win. So definitely something they have changed over time. And if you guys are serious like investors or serious like hardcore players, I want to know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Currently, like, do you feel like you need to pay later, like in Act 5 or end game? Let me know. But the game offered pets, alchemy, the cash shop, storage, and many more stuff that can pretty much tell you this game is definitely on the pay-to-win side of things. On surface, it's free, but as of 2023, most paywall is mainly convenience features like alchemy and the stash tabs. Alchemy essentially basically allows you to actually grind out more potions, and of course, if you want more, that allows you have to pay for convenience. If you want more stash, you gotta buy for it. If you want to get more stash for anything else, you gotta pay for it. It all comes back to that. So I know a lot of people, especially in games nowadays, don't like the gacha feature of that, or having like a super overly monetized game. I get it, it's free to play, developers need to make their money, but I know there's better ways at doing it. Of course, don't ever be like Diablo Immortal, because man, watching people spend the amount of money in that game is insane. But of course, gachas are there for a reason. Next, we have the actual battle pass. This is another way of monetizing this free-to-play game. From me, I haven't really gained any benefit out of the battle pass. Now, there are a lot of cool stuff out of the battle pass that you get, like a lot of gold, a lot of runes, attributes, the whole nine. I've looked through it, but me personally, it didn't entice me to buy the battle pass. But I know people who are hardcore players would definitely want to destroy through the battle pass, get all the rewards you can get, so you can be able to further stun on people later down the line. Now, there are a couple gameplay features that I do not like, which is there is auto combat, and as soon as I turned it on, it felt gross. Auto combat in these type of games do not work, man. This is not a gacha. I know gachas, it's fine. They run through. It's a turn-based gacha, sure, but auto combat in this range of things, I can't do it. I literally, as soon as they offered me the chance to do it, I literally turned it on. I just wanted to see what was going to happen. And all of a sudden I was like, oh no, this is gross. Ew, bro, what the fuck? Like, what? Get this off the screen. I know. Throne of Liberty, auto combat. Get it off the screen. So I've been playing everything without auto combat. I turned it off. It's a very useless feature. Me personally, I don't like it. If that is something you guys like, go ahead. Me, I turned it off immediately. I'm glad I can turn it off. There's also controller support, but the controller support is dog. Honestly, I feel like Undecember should just take a slight page out of Diablo 4's book or a couple of the ARPG's books, and like Diablo 3, Diablo 4, like just allow a full support of the controller support. Now, I did try using the controller, but I felt like I would be better off on keyboard and mouse, since most of the things, like, it's for all the stuff that you would need, the amount on your controller, it doesn't really work. And it also doesn't even change like how when you could play any other game, so it fully changed because it fully supports. So essentially this game has partial controller support. Me personally, I feel like if you guys wanted to use a controller, because I know a lot of people out there do, it's all right. It's not very well knit and well tight like most other games would be if they had full controller support. Like, you could tell controller support was like at the back of their minds when they were designing this game. Hopefully in future updates or anything like that, they just add full-blown controller support, making things a lot easier for controller players. I am playing this on PC, of course. But if, you know, I got a nice brand spanking new Xbox controller, so I want to be able to use it, all right? God damn it, don't hurt the messenger. So next thing is quests in the beginning of the game gives you a choice in selecting skills to help build your character, which that right there, cool, cute. I like the idea, but as I leveled up and I started noticing that was a thing, I realized that a lot of people can miss out on cool things if they don't understand the build that they're trying to make, because most of the first act, you're using whatever they give you. You're being forced into a base class that you're not really wanting to. And like, I wanted to be a mage, but in order for me to even really be a mage, I had to level up as a warrior type, just swinging whatever the game gave me in order to be whatever I want. Cool, but the pacing and the progression made it dull for me in the very first few bit of that, because of that exact reasoning. I did not want to be just sitting there like, I'm combined to the wills of the game, the developers, and I didn't like that. If they would have found a better way of like redoing like how when you do something, like you do a request reward and you get the reward, you should be able to, I don't know, find some form of a way to allow me, or at least tell me like, hey, this next, I was just grabbing what I can without because I didn't know what type of build I wanted to make. And especially in these classless based games where you're kind of just playing a warrior class, like how they start you off as technically, and then you build your way to whether you want to be a ranger or a mage. It's just a slight complaint for me, but to others, this may be perfectly fine to you. So next we have the Zodiac Tree. Now the Zodiac Tree reinforces my thing about the classless system. So the Zodiac Tree is basically your form of way of building your classless character, but it is a little bit messy. Honestly, due to if I wasn't really paying attention, I'll be leveling something that doesn't even optimize my build. And with these classless based games, that's something you do have to be careful about, because if you don't sit there and know what you want to do or like how you want to do it, you'll end up just putting points in different parts. And but I do like the fact of like how it is a Zodiac. Overall design, love it. It definitely has that mass that it attempts to, like games like Path of Exile, or even how Diablo 4, how they're doing this. So it definitely has that coolness to it, but it's one of those like, ooh, ouch. Like I may have put points in things because I wasn't really paying attention until I realized like, oh, I get it. And then now I'm fully optimized on my build how I want, especially heading into Act 3. So overall, Undecember is a polished free-to-play RPG with a rough narrative to try to get along to. I love stories and games, but sadly Undecember did not really grab my attention. After running every main story, every side quest in Act 1, and in doing majority of Act 2, I'm almost done with everything, 100% completing everything that Act 2 has to offer, and slowly heading into Act 3. Some of the fun actually starts to slow down once you can no longer get that dopamine of one-shotting enemies, but the dopamine that you do get is that you do level up pretty quickly, and I just love the immediate Now, you do run into a power scaling issue later down the line, so that you end up becoming this god, and then you become no god. You're bad. You start dying. So then it didn't bother me too much, but the skills that I was doing, like when I was on my build, most of my attacks became more powerful. But I realized, like, oh, these enemies got hands, and these motherfuckers can hit back, and it hurts. And you start to really get hit with that, like, oh, dopamine, then dopamine crash, and you're like, oh, well, that sucks. So in 2023, the paywall isn't as abundant as it was during the first month launch, and it seemed like it hasn't calmed down. I haven't really reached the point where I need to spend money nor actually look at the cash shop. I have heard many people actually say by the time of Act 3 it gets to that point, but from what I'm seeing in Act 2 and almost 7 hours later into the game, it's more subtle. My POV is coming more from a casual player than a hardcore player, and I don't really try to min-max or be like super hardcore type, but this is all just coming from my initial experience. So far, I would say if you don't want to spend $70 on Diablo 4, you can give this game a try. But honestly, if you got the $70 to spend, I'll just buy Diablo 4, or if you want something similar, I would just spend the $35 or $40 on Last Epoch. That's another great one. Undecember is a cool game. Definitely cool for free-to-play, you know, just especially for all my budget people out there. It's a fun free-to-play game. If you can avoid the overall needing of the paywall, and if you want to just grind out killing enemies, say if you got a fresh home from work, you just want to just boot up something and kill some enemies, go right ahead. But if those features that I liked and I did not like actually appeal to you, then keep that in mind before you hit download. But as always, it's been your host, KSDTV, here at Chaotic Inc., signing out. Peace.
Manifest. I don't sleep, that's so weak, don't plan to rest. I'm from a hood where you die if you don't pack a vest. No culinary degrees, but whipping crack the best. Chefing, hard times taught lessons. Praying every night to pull up in park Benzes. What's my home is what you call trenches. You wouldn't last a day seeing life through all lenses. It's all tension, no sun, and rain and plenty. Full-time job, still can never make a penny. I ain't